My name is John, and I'm the sound engineer and an instrumentalist at our local church. For the past 2 years, I have been involved in a clandestine relationship with my pastor's wife. I cannot mention their names, so I'll call her Mary, and I'll call the pastor David. What started as an innocent professional interaction has grown into an affair that has significantly changed my life, leaving me torn between fear and infatuation. It all began in early 2022. I had been serving at the church for several years, earning the trust of the congregation and the church leaders, including Pastor David, a prominent and revered man of God. Pastor David is well known, often appearing on television and hosting numerous programs and events. His schedule is incredibly demanding, and he travels frequently for his ministry. My pastor's wife, Mary, is a striking woman in her early 40s, with an air of grace and wisdom that comes with age and experience. She has teenage children and is a devoted mother. Despite her husband's prominence, Mary seemed to live in the shadows, often appearing lonely and yearning for attention. I noticed her during church events, always composed and supportive of her husband's endeavors. Yet there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. My involvement with Mary started during a church program where I was tasked with playing the piano. After the event, Mary approached me with a smile, thanking me for my contribution. Her demeanor was warm and friendly, and we chatted briefly. From that moment, she began to seek me out more frequently, engaging in conversations that grew increasingly personal. One day, she confided in me about her marital struggles. She revealed that Pastor David's commitments to the church left little time for their marriage. She felt neglected and unappreciated, and in her vulnerability, she found herself drawn to me. Mary admitted that she found me attractive and wanted me to fulfill the emotional and physical void in her life. Her proposition left me bewildered and conflicted. I admired her and felt a strong attraction, but the thought of betraying Pastor David was terrifying. Despite my initial hesitation, Mary's persistence wore me down. She was relentless, using every opportunity to be close to me, whether at church or outside events. Her charm was irresistible, and eventually, I succumbed to her advances. Our first encounter left me riddled with guilt and fear. I was scared that Pastor David, with his spiritual insight, would discover our secret. However, Mary assured me that her husband would remain oblivious, and to my surprise, he did. As our affair progressed, Mary began to shower me with gifts and money. Her generosity transformed my life. I went from barely making ends meet to living comfortably. I even bought a car, which raised eyebrows within the church community. People assumed I had found a lucrative job, but the truth was that Mary was my benefactor. Over time, my fear of Pastor David diminished. He never showed any signs of suspicion, and Mary's confidence in our secrecy was reassuring. She often told me that she had everything under control, and that I had nothing to worry about. Her words were like a balm to my anxiety, and I started to believe that we could continue our affair indefinitely. Despite her reassurances, there were moments when I sensed that Pastor David might be aware of our relationship. On a few occasions, his sermons hinted at the possibility of infidelity within the congregation and with his wife. His words were indirect, but they struck a chord with my guilty conscience. One time, he asked me if I had Mary's phone number, which I denied, and he let the matter drop. This interaction left me on edge, but months passed without any incident, and my fears subsided. Mary's influence over me grew stronger. She took me to places I had never been, exposing me to experiences I had never imagined. She made me feel like a man, boosting my confidence and self-worth. However, as my feelings for her deepened, so did my internal conflict. On one hand, I relished the excitement and intimacy we shared. On the other, I was plagued by the fear of being discovered and the potential fallout. Pastor David's sermons continued to haunt me. Though he never addressed me directly, his words seemed to cut through my mind, leaving me paranoid and anxious. I began to wonder if he was subtly warning me, or if my guilt was simply amplifying his messages. Mary, however, remained unbothered. She dismissed my concerns, insisting that everything was fine and that I should trust her. As the months went by, my relationship with Mary became more intense. We found creative ways to be together, always careful to avoid suspicion. Despite our efforts, there were close calls that left my heart pounding. Each time, Mary would calm my nerves, assuring me that we were safe. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But a nagging voice in the back of my mind kept whispering that our luck would eventually run out. I voiced my concerns, and Mary took my hand, squeezing it gently. "I understand your fears," she said, "but think about how far we've come. We've managed to keep this secret for 2 years. If David were to find out, he would have done something by now. Trust me, John. We are in this together." Her words provided temporary solace, but the unease never fully disappeared. I found myself constantly looking over my shoulder, analyzing every interaction with Pastor David for signs of suspicion. Despite this, my feelings for Mary continued to grow, and the thought of ending our affair seemed unbearable. One Sunday, after service, Pastor David approached me with a smile. "John, I wanted to thank you for your dedication to the church. Your work doesn't go unnoticed," he said, patting me on the back. His words were kind, but they sent a chill down my spine. I forced a smile, muttering my thanks, and hurried away, my mind racing. I shared the encounter with Mary, who laughed it off. "He's just being polite," she said. "You're doing a great job, and he appreciates it. There's nothing more to it." Despite her dismissal, I cannot shake the feeling that Pastor David's words carried a hidden meaning. I feel like nothing is going to happen, but at the same time, something tells me the man knows and is planning something against me or the wife. To some extent, I want this, but to another, I fear the end may be bad. There's no sign, it's just a feeling I get, but the woman keeps saying I shouldn't worry. She wants to do this with me for as long as I want it. I really want it because the woman is into me deeply. She takes away my fears, but my mind is not at rest. Please, T, what do I do?